What's up, guys? It's me. So I got the step deck today instead of the tanker. Heading up to New York, picking this load of stuff up. Jump in the truck here. Yeah, I'm headed up here to New York. I've been trying to avoid telling it, but I think I'm gonna tell what happened to me like I guess about a month ago now. So I was headed to Baltimore City, and it was pretty late. I think it was like, I guess it was about 12:30 at night when it happened. But obviously, if you've seen the thumbnail, you know what happened. I crashed my truck, broke the trailer. I was pulling a tanker at the time, full of milk. So, but yeah, it sucked. I don't know. I guess I've been driving probably for 19 years now. I don't know. This is probably only this is my first real major crash. Like, I've had small stuff before, but this was a pretty big one. It was pretty bad crash. I got really lucky that I wasn't hurt badly. My ribs were hurt a little bit. It took a couple weeks for them to heal up, but they're pretty good now. But yeah, I got really lucky. And even luckier, there was nobody else involved. It was just me. And when it happened, it went completely off the highway, so there wasn't nothing on the highway. It was completely off. I didn't get nothing out of it, no fun, nothing. It was just a really bad accident. Sucks I destroyed the truck, which I really like that truck. And the trailer, the tanker, I think they're gonna be able to fix that. You know, it's for as bad as it was. I'm pretty sure they're gonna be able to fix it. So that'd be awesome. At least save something out of it. But yeah, it sucks, especially when you're the dumbass that does it. You know, you really feel like an idiot. I still feel like a total idiot. You know, like I said, it's been about a month now. Hard to tell when I'm, stop feeling like that. Probably gonna be a while. This place here sucks getting out of. This traffic is just relentless up through here. I can't even hardly see it. Put that stupid sign in the worst spot. Oh, another brick coming. There we go. But yeah, like I said, it was my first major crash. It was pretty scary. It was I wish I would have asked for the dash cam when I was seeing it. I thought about it, but I really didn't want to see it, actually. Honestly, I've been hoping it goes away, but man, every time I turn around, somebody I know is like, "Oh yeah, I seen it on Facebook again last night." For some reason, it keeps popping up over and over on Facebook. Then it was on a bunch of news channels talking about how bad it was going to smell in the area because of the spilled milk. I would have thought they would have went with don't cry over spilled milk, instead of oh, what's that awful smell you're going to be smelling? It's just rotten milk, so don't worry. I don't know. But yeah, I'm still waiting for it to go away. I'm still the dumbass, probably will be for quite a while. Until somebody else does something worse than I did. But it's as far as me, like I said, other than my ribs a little bit, the worst thing that got hurt was my pride. I pretty well destroyed it, killed my pride. It might take a little while for that injury to go away. Oh yeah, we're gonna go up US 15 here. I was talking about in the last video. This road runs right along the river, so you can see a lot of the river right off to the side for quite a while, or at least about, I think it's like 15-20 miles. It's pretty awesome. It's nice and scenic anyway. break up the monotony of it, just a regular old highway all the time anyway. But anyway, back to my story. So yeah, like I said, I had tanker. I was full of milk, and like I said, I was headed to Baltimore. There's a dairy in the middle of the city that we go to, which I'll have to film that sometime. That's quite an adventure. You're going into the city, middle of Baltimore, in the middle of the night. You know, you see some interesting things in there. not to mention it's a bit terrifying sometimes. But yeah, I'll have to film that sometime. Going in through there and talk about that. But like I said, back to the story. Like I said, I was headed to Baltimore. It was about 12:30 at night, and I was heating up my coffee. I got one of those little coffee heaters. Hold on. I don't know, one of these things. You plug it into your cigarette lighter, and it gets really hot, and that's how you heat up your coffee. Well, like I said, I was heating up my coffee, and for anybody who knows the Baltimore area, I was coming down Interstate 83, and when you get to 695, which is like Baltimore's Beltway, 83 merges with 695 for like a quarter of a mile, and then 83 will split back off, and then 83 will take you down into the city. And like I said, 695 is basically the Beltway for Baltimore. So I come down and I got to that area, but I've been through there 1,000 times. You know, I know the area really well. And what I do, I always get to the far right lane, because the two right lanes are the two that breaks off and turns back into 83 when it breaks off. So I always get in the far right lane, and I just stay there. And it's kind of like a pretty sharp turn when you come off 83 onto 695, and then it's another sharp turn when you go off of 695 back onto 83. But so I come down, and I was getting off the 83 part and onto the 695 part, and really I must have been looking down, stirring my coffee, and that little section of the road, there's only like a 10-12 inch shoulder there, no rumble strip or nothing. And I guess being that it was on a turn, I just kind of kept rolling around the turn while I was looking down, and next thing I knew, my front wheel was off the pavement, and it was pretty soft, wet grass at the time. And you know, once you get your wheel off and you're heavy like that, you know, it's almost impossible to get the truck back up on there. So it just pulled me off, and it kind of goes down into an embankment a little bit there, and it sucked me down in, and it gets pretty steep there at one point. And I had it where I had the truck trying to climb back out, but the tanker was so heavy there, you know, it was almost impossible. There was no way it was coming back out, you know. It was down in a groove, and I couldn't get it to come out. And then I seen the guardrails come in, and that scared the shit out of me, because I thought the guardrails were just I was gonna come to a dead stop and I was gonna fly through the windshield or something. But really, I just rolled over them things, and it was like, I mean, I just laid them right out, rolled the guardrail itself, rolled it up like a curly Q, and about then, that's when, you know, it slowed me down enough that the tanker pushed the truck sideways, and then I got jackknifed. And once that happened, I kind of slid to a stop, and then the truck was like perpendicular to the trailer, and it was kind of like also perpendicular to the road, and then the trailer was horizontal with parallel with the road. And when we came to a stop, the tanker was so heavy, and then it just kind of rolled over and rolled down into the truck, and it smashed my bunk all up. They smashed it so much that I could see the sky through the back of the bunk. It snapped not the kingpin off the trailer, but it snapped the whole hitch plate, which has like, I don't know, probably 20, 25, 30 bolts on it. Just snapped that whole thing right off there, and it was still on the fifth wheel of the truck. But once it snapped that off, the trailer rolled over, like I said, rolled into the truck, laid on its side. I'm gonna put some pictures at the end of the video here, so you guys can see what I'm talking about. But yeah, that was it. And like I said, I came to a complete stop, and that was it. But you know, before it was crazy. Like, before I even got out of the trailer, you know, there must have been freaking 20 people there already. There was like flashing lights already. I don't know. It was crazy. But my phone had went blind. I didn't know where it went. And when I did find it, somehow the phone knew that I was in an accident. It called 911 like automatically. And I knew I didn't have to talk to him because there was already, you know, so many people there. Knew somebody had already called 911. So I just kind of hung up on them. But yeah, I didn't know your phone realized it. You can tell that you were in an accident, but call 911 for you. That's crazy. But yeah, but by the time I got out, there were so many people there. And then being that I had a tanker, you know, everybody was like, "Oh my God, there's gas coming out." And I'm like, "It's not gas, dumbass. It's a milk tanker." And yeah, it took a little convincing to convince everybody that I had milk and not gasoline. Because everybody sees a tanker and automatically assumes it's gasoline. But yeah, that was basically it. It sucks. Like I said, I was really lucky I didn't get hurt. It was a pretty vicious wreck. So I'll put pictures at the end so you guys can see it. So I don't know. I didn't really want to tell a story because, like I said, it sucks. It sucks when you're the dipshit that did it. So, but by the heck of it, so the quicker everybody knows about it, the quicker it goes away. So you just get it out there. And that's about it. I was like saying, you know, always be paying attention because it happens in a split second, you know. Doing the dumbest thing, like I said, I was just heating up my coffee, stirring my coffee, looked down, and next thing I knew, I was off the fucking road, sorry. And after that, I was done for it, you know. So, like I said, all I can say is, you know, just be vigilant. I know it's hard to, you know, when you drive truck, you know, all the time, you know. You get times where you're sleepy, your eyes get heavy, you know, but you're tired before ever take a nap. But just, you gotta pay attention. You know, not that I didn't know, but, you know, a life lesson, I guess. But I guess that's all I got. Thank you guys. I'll see you. Oh yeah, if you guys find it in your heart, give me a like, hit the like button, but even more importantly, hit the subscribe button. I really need some subscribers. I'm pretty low on the subscriber end, and I don't think hardly anybody sees